Well, on Thursdays we get a choice of talking to the ministers. Their diaries are meant to be completely kept clear. Unfortunately, the Chief and Mr Ashford can't make it, but I'm glad Mr Hooper has. I'm not even sure what sort of interview to expect here. I'm guessing you're just going to give me a no comment one, because clearly what I want to talk about is things that you're going to tell me you can't talk about.
Okay.
Have you got any comment you can make on what you have done and the way you have behaved in this situation, and do you feel you should be looking to tender your position there?
So I probably can't comment on any of that, if I'm honest. I did give evidence to the tribunal, which I believe is public.
I've read it. I went back and carefully read it.
I think everything was said there. I was quite clear that this isn't an issue that I have been involved with at all. But other than that, I'm not really at liberty to comment on any of those matters.
Are you comfortable with the evidence you gave then?
Again, it's difficult. I don't want to cross any lines here, so it's probably safest for me not to comment any further, other than to just say, look, I can refer you to what is already public.
Yeah.
I can't really say anything else.
I mean, I don't know what sort of interview we can do. That's a problem, because this is the subject that everyone wants to hear about.
It is, and I would suggest really the best thing is to talk about what the Chief said on Tuesday in Tynwald, when he talked about actually looking at how we address some of the issues that were raised in a more broader context, looking forward and saying, actually, irrespective of the particular circumstances here, the Chief said himself there were things that were concerning and that action needs to be taken, and he listed a series of quite firm, I think, actions about things we are going to start doing. I've just been talking briefly to Manx Radio about the ongoing work in Manx Care and the Department of Health around the workforce and culture that has come out of the transformation programme. That is an already ongoing work stream, which I think has taken on ever more importance in the recent weeks. So I think I've said what I can say on this, really, Paul. It is a very difficult one, especially for me. You'll notice that I haven't made any public comments to date on anything, and that's because of the position I'm in. And really, I'm hoping that what we will see in coming days, weeks, months is more information out of government about just how we're going to deliver on some of those promises and statements the Chief Minister made on Tuesday.
You see, the Liberal Vannin have issued a press release. You are Liberal Vannin. How conflicted are you here then?
So I think conflicted is a really good way of describing that. So I quite deliberately wasn't involved in issuing that statement, and I need to give the BBC a quick call afterwards and talk them through exactly the situation here. So when I accepted this role as a minister, I knew that there would be times when I wouldn't be able to comment on something, but my party or party members felt strongly enough that they wanted their voices heard. And I think that is absolutely fine. Sometimes there will be clear blue water between what I can and can't say as a minister and what my party wants to say on behalf of its membership. And so in this instance, that press statement is something that I was not involved with, because clearly there would be a conflict of interest there. And the right thing to do, if you want to talk to the party about their statement, I'm sure my chairman, Paul Wetherall, would be more than happy to discuss it with you. But ultimately, where these conflicts exist, I think it's quite important that I'm able to draw a line, actually, between myself and my party. And you'll have seen over the years, actually, Liberal Vannin have been quite good at this. Me and Kate didn't always used to vote the same way in Tynwald. During the election campaign, we had candidates who didn't necessarily agree on everything, and I think that is the nature of the beast, really, being a liberal centrist party on the island with quite a broad church. We have people with quite a wide range of views, I think, and so it is a balancing act trying to represent those views effectively as a political party and also perform my duties as a constituency MHK or a parliamentarian or a minister, when sometimes there's not an easy it doesn't easily coalesce all together in a perfect world. So yes, it can be a bit difficult at times, but personally, I'm here today talking to you. I'm happy to try and be as open as I can be.
But you can't be, can you? That's the problem.
That's the challenge. But I think if you give it a bit of time, when things settle, there will be the opportunity to have more full and frank conversations.
when the sub-judice thing's gone off, you're happy then to give it much more detail?
Yeah, because I think that's the only blocker or the only worry for me at the moment. But I think when that has been resolved and all the issues that we can't talk about can be talked about, I would like to think that we'll be in a much better position to be able to sit down and have a full and frank conversation about everything. But like I say, right now, the safest thing for me to say is, unfortunately, Paul, I can't comment.
I don't know if you saw my interview with Chris Robert Shaw.
I haven't, actually.
Well, I suggest you might want to look at it, and certainly the audience, because he's summed up what you can't say, basically, and what went on. But of course, that's what I'd like to talk to you about. But I suppose, again, as we start with, would you feel you may have to consider your position? Do you think you may have to resign over this?
Again, it's really difficult.
Can't say that?
It's difficult for me to talk about that without potentially crossing lines, I suppose, is the question. But from my perspective, from my appointment in October going onwards, this hasn't been a matter that I've been in any way involved with. But other than that,
it's more a question of what you said to the tribunal, isn't it, and how what you said there and what happened. I mean, that's what you can't talk about, I'm guessing.
I can't really talk what I can't talk about.
How do we finish this? Anything else? Is there anything else you'd like to say? I mean, it is. I mean, I shouldn't be laughing, and it's a terribly serious matter. But really what you saw then in Timor, let's try this. And have you got faith that the way the Chief Minister handled it? Surely you can refer to what happened in that chamber.
So I can talk about what happened in Timor. So I think the one thing that isn't necessarily coming across is just how seriously the Chief Minister is taking all of this.
Which was here today to tell us, wasn't he?
So I was quite reassured actually by the speed and the decisions that were taken around. We need to be seen to be doing something, I think, and not just because it's important that these things happen actually in public, but actually it's important that these things happen full stop. And I think that range of actions that the Chief Minister announced on Tuesday are the first stage, really, in how do you start unpicking some of the challenges that have come to light, and how do you actually start making positive change for the better. And so what like I say, the Chief Minister was quite clear on Tuesday that more information will be coming forward at various points now as things start playing out and things start developing and things start getting done. That's the key thing here, actually. Isn't just talking about things, it's about making stuff actually happen. And I would just encourage you to just keep an eye on it, really.
How long we've got the 40 odd days where it's left to the actual appeal, I suppose. That closes, whether it's something like that, isn't it? There's so many days before the government can appeal. And that's why it's sub judice, isn't it? And then there's potentially this new action that might be coming forward. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, again, I can't talk about any of that. I'm sorry, Paul. I know it's frustrating, and I appreciate.
And the audience, of course, this is the all public. This is the Isle of Man public not being able to find out or hear from you what's going on.
Trust me, Paul, it is just as frustrating for me as I think it is for everybody else. But no, it is, unfortunately, and I think I've said this time and time again around other issues, that where you have independent processes or independent judicial processes that are going on, the right thing to do is those processes have to take their course. And it wouldn't be appropriate for politicians to get involved in those processes because ultimately they're supposed to be independent of the political side of things. That's the whole reason they exist. And so it definitely wouldn't be appropriate to try and comment on anything that I know you really want to talk about. It is just the way it is, unfortunately.
I tried.
So, yes, but no, like I say, when the dust has settled and everything has moved on, I can't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to have a full and frank conversation about all of this.